It's Disney's big weekend this week with the biannual D23 Expo, celebrating everything under the House of Mouse. At the Expo, Disney honored 11 new stars as Disney legends, including Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher of Star Wars fame, animator Clyde Geronimi, comic strip artist Manuel Gonzalez, Imagineer Wayne Jackson, creators of the Marvel Universe Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, writer-director Gary Marshall, theatrical director Julie Taymor, producer Oprah Winfrey, and beloved actress Whoopi Goldberg. The Expo also detailed Disney's release schedule through 2019, featuring 21 films from Disney, Marvel Studios, Lucasfilm, and Pixar. From Disney themselves, look forward to A Wrinkle in Time in 2018, along with Ralph Wrecks the Internet, The Nutcracker in the Four Realms, and Mary Poppins Returns. In 2019, it seems that Dumbo, The Lion King, and Mulan are all up for remakes, along with Frozen 2 and an untitled Disney Toon Studios film about the future of aviation. From Pixar, Coco will be out later this year, followed next year by The Incredibles 2 in 2018 and Toy Story 4 in 2019, as well as an untitled movie about two elf brothers looking for magic further down the line. No new changes to Marvel or Star Wars schedules were announced. Thor Ragnarok is still slated for later this year, followed by Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, and Ant-Man and the Wasp in 2018. 2019 will see Captain Marvel and the presumable conclusion of Phase 3 with the still untitled fourth Avengers movie. Footage of Infinity War was shown and, amazingly enough, wasn't immediately released by Disney, which is great for the people at D23, but less great for people who need B-roll to put a voiceover over. As for Star Wars, The Last Jedi is still set for this winter, followed by the untitled Han Solo film in summer of 2018 and Episode 9 in 2019. No new footage as of yet for any of it, but they did release a behind-the-scenes look at Episode 8. Meanwhile, in video games, break out your arcade sticks because hundreds of the best gamers from around the world gathered in Las Vegas this weekend to compete in the Evolution 2017 Championship Series. Returning from last year's lineup were Street Fighter V, Guilty Gear Xrd Revelator Rev 2, both versions of Super Smash Bros., Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and Tekken 7. Injustice 2 took over Mortal Kombat XL's spot for NetherRealm representation, and newer returning franchises included BlazBlue Central Fiction and the newly released King of Fighters 14. Also in the mix was a special exhibition tournament for Dragon Ball FighterZ, which made a good first impression for a game that has only just started development. And EVO isn't the only high-level gaming contest going on right now. The Overwatch World Cup kicked off this weekend in Shanghai, China. 32 national teams split among 8 groups will compete in 4 round-robin contests over the next month, with groups A and B duking it out this weekend for the first series of eliminations. So far, the teams from China and France are leading their respective groups, with each taking decisive victories in their first matches. Once the round-robin matches are over, the top 2 teams from each group will compete in a single elimination tournament later this summer, with the top 8 performers moving on to BlizzCon in November for the World Championship. But hey, if watching video games isn't your thing, there's traditional entertainment options coming up. Hitting theaters this week, we have Dunkirk. The latest from Christopher Nolan, a World War II movie about Allied soldiers who really don't want to be in World War II anymore. It's a hard-hitting look at the horrors of war, so if you're up for something a little more fantastical, there's Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets. Luc Besson looks like he's trying to top himself from The Fifth Element with another spectacular-looking sci-fi adventure, this time about thrill-seeking crazy young people who I think may be secret agents running around a crazy universe trying to save it from something. I don't know, it just looks really cool. And speaking of cool, tonight over on television is the return of the show we've all been waiting for. The 4th and final season of The Strain on FX. No, I'm kidding. Game of Thrones returns for its 7th season on HBO. Winter is finally here, so let's see if the feuding factions of Westeros can stop killing each other long enough to stop the undead horde. Also on TV this week is the 2nd season of Shooter on USA. I made fun of this show last year, but after binge watching it, I'm forced to take back most of my Starky comments. And for the kids, Nico and the Sword of Light is a neat-looking cartoon coming to Amazon Prime. If you're looking for something you can enjoy with a young one, this looks promising. Over in video games, if you thought there weren't enough spectacle fighters featuring Japanese schoolgirls, you are in luck. The Initial has exactly what you're looking for. Originality aside, it's an impressive-looking game for something cooked up by such a small studio. And for something a little more fantastical, Yonder the Cloudcatcher Chronicles is an open world game that has you exploring a great looking fantasy world. It looks kind of like Zelda without the combat. And if you want to build your own fantasy world, Kingdoms and Castles has that. Part SimCity, part tower defense, I think. I've actually been looking for a game kinda like this for a while. And while first-person horror games are a dime a dozen, this strange realm of mine stands out for being a horror shooter with a well-designed pixel art aesthetic. Not a mix you usually see, but it works here. For something a little more competitive, Gigantic is a new hero shooter coming to PC. You know the drill, cast of unique heroes rumbling against each other with PvP and PvE elements all mixed together. Still looks cool. And another title that's hardly an original idea, Intrusion Protocol is your standard precision-based platformer, but this time you're playing as a computer virus unlocking the secret of its own existence, so sure, why not? And yes, technically Pixel Shopkeeper isn't a wholly original idea either, but a game about a shopkeeper collecting, crafting, and selling fantasy weapons is a far less saturated genre. And it looks like this has a surprising amount of depth to it. Back to 2D platformers, Shadowbug definitely ranks as this week's most visually impressive title. You play as a ninja-trained insect fighting monsters and jumping around the forest, and everything looks really cool. Finally, speaking of unusual 2D platformers, Mint puts you in the role of an alien hero that has taken the form of a glob of toothpaste seeking an intergalactic fugitive. Extra points for creativity on that one. Meanwhile, on the Nintendo Switch, Splatoon 2 is out this week. Like its predecessor, Nintendo has promised another 2 years of free updates and support, so if you're gonna pull the trigger, you may as well start now. Wrapping things up with the CGBros video, we have Claire Obscur by Claire Obscur Team, a super creepy sequence about nighttime anxiety with a super sad backstory. And that leaves us with this week's awesome video. I'm cheating a little bit since this could have gone in with the D23 section, but either way, check out this sneak peek of DuckTales in action. I love everything about this.
Take that! Chewie! Don't yell at your target before you fire. You'll lose the element of surprise.
And that's everything for this week, so what's your favorite Disney property and or esport? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, hit that like button, and if you're new, be sure to subscribe, because while there won't be a new video next week, I will have a special ComicCon video coming up. Until then, have a great 2 weeks.